Hey y'all, happy what the today is what today's Thursday, right? Wednesday. My days are running together on me.
Wednesday, happy Wednesday.
I don't lost today, y'all.
Yep.
Today is Wednesday. Lord, it's the end of the month tomorrow. So in my world, everything's nuts. Everybody's trying to close tomorrow. That way is official.
Yep.
So Charmaine Armstrong, your host, speaking facts in 15. And I'm going to introduce y'all to my father, aka my co-host, my dad, Juan Stewart.
So what's going on, y'all? J.R. Stewart here. I'm co-host of Speaking Facts in 15, and glad to be back with you. Speaking Facts in 15 is brought to you by Kiss Wealth Now, taking care of all of your personal and residential and commercial real estate needs. I will mention that we do have a Patreon for the show. If you like the topics that we're talking about, you can go onto the Patreon. You can comment. You can donate to help us reach more people. Anyway, the Patreon is there. Our special guest who has been waiting patiently to chime in is Wilbur Dawson. How you doing, Wilbur?
Hey, how y'all doing? Good to be with you again.
Man, yes, he has. Wilbur has visited with us before. So, Charlie, what are we talking about today?
You know, we had last week, and then even the week before, we just had some really awesome people who impact the community. And so we want to continue that conversation about mental health and how we can make one another stronger through just talking about experiences, what we deal with day to day. I mean, that's the focus, especially our mental health for our community is so key. It's a big responsibility to be brown in America. And so just even with the culture and what's going on, that narrative right now, just really talking about how we can make one another better and at the end of the day feel safe around one another.
Yeah, and for as I look at it, mental health, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Bufandu, mental health in the Black community, particularly with Black men, there's been kind of a stigma. It's like, ain't nothing wrong with you. Get on out of here, get back to what you're doing. Straighten yourself up. There hasn't been much tolerance or patience for mental health issues within the Black community, and I do want to say that there is a difference between somebody having actually having mental health issues and just being in poor mental health. You know what I'm saying? There is a gradation, but we still want to recognize it when it's small. And so one of the reasons I asked Wilbur to be on today is that Wilbur has a lot of experience with people suffering from either mental health issues and or poor mental health. As his job as someone who preaches in the pulpit and as a minister, he sees it. He sees it. He does a lot of outreach in the community, and he sees it in that regard. And unfortunately, even the both of us see it in the schools sometimes dealing with children, young adults. So what my big question, I guess, is how do we take what Dr. Bufandu said a couple of weeks ago about the stigma of mental health, and how he's the first Black-owned business to help men address it. But there are other resources out there. So how do we at the ground level in the community, how do we get people to drop the stigma or not be worried about it so that we can get help for people that needs it? And I just kind of really want to pick Wilbur's brain on maybe some thoughts, because it's a deep and broad topic.
It is very much so. Well, one of the big ones that I have seen, experienced myself and my own family and trying to help other people in the community is just the shame related to it. That fear and shame of even stepping out to go get help and to seek therapy, whatever you may need at the time, to the point that the fear can be so great that people will refuse to go. I've had to take people who only will go at night because they don't want anyone to see them. People have put bags and coats over their head when they walk into the clinic because they're so ashamed of going. And so it is very deep culture-wise and in our community when it just comes to seeking help or going in to get treatment or therapy. And I think a lot of that comes from stereotypes. A lot of it comes to people being judgmental of others who may have mental health. And we have that big, what we call the C word, that if someone has any kind of mental health issues, which mental health can be something related to psychological, to your brain, or can it be something even emotional But in our community, most times we have that issue that we call people crazy, and people don't want that label and that stereotype that there's something wrong with me. I may be perceived as being dysfunctional. My family may be perceived as dysfunctional. On down the line, too, everybody has some kind of issues going on, emotional, mental, something that's going on with them. It may be something on a small level, on a large level. But particularly when you have people of status, someone who may be successful, but we have something going on that, whoa, I don't want that to be a deterrent in my career or my job or the outlook that the way people perceive me. So you have so many barriers, just to name a few. So getting to the point that we can get past that to get people to get therapy and to go in and get help, or even to get medication versus dealing with it themselves, is a big problem that needs to be addressed, and we have to address and come up with solutions to it.
And one thing that you had said that I really like, sometimes people are unable to handle their feelings due to a certain situation. So sometimes mental illness is situational.
Yes,
you get to a point to where something has stressed you out so bad that you're not thinking clear thoughts, and maybe you think, oh my gosh, I can't get through the situation, but you can. So sometimes it's just addressing the situation, whatever it is.
Yes. Someone died in your family is a very common one that a lot of African Americans, a lot of people in general have issues, can really take you down an emotional road and take you into depression. But one of the bigger ones that we don't talk about, that's probably the most common for everybody, is broken relationships.
Right.
A lot of people go through a lot of trauma or go through, spontaneous or situational, mental health crises due to a broken relationship. He left me, she left me, she divorced me, she doesn't want to be with me anymore. And so you have all these issues that take place that, wow, sometimes, you may need some medication. It may just be the form of you just sit down and talk to someone to get what's going on inside out. And so it comes in so many different forms that you can get to a solution, but taking the time to address that instead of covering it up, because if you cover it up and you don't get any help, it can become worse and spiral into other things, or you start to seek wrong things to help with that, like alcohol, drugs, dating people you shouldn't be dating, doing things you shouldn't be doing to help deal with that issue when you could have been treated very easily with less repercussions.
Right.
And one thing I even to add something else to the pot is I know that when I have felt bad, one of the things that I have done is started eating poorly.
Yes.
I wasn't watching what I was eating, and I was just looking. Where did I look at? I looked at it was mentalhealth.org, just to see, and then, and it said that of course physical health problems do significantly. That was our risk of developing health problems, and it says that nearly 1 in 3 people that have long-term physical health conditions also have a mental health problem. So we feeling bad, eating bad causes physical trauma, which can in turn cause more mental trauma, and it can become a cycle. We get into the rut, and how we do, we'll get into a rut of laying around, not doing anything, of not talking to anybody, of not, and eating poor food, not getting any sunlight, all these things. And so how do we, Charlie, you can chime in too, but how do we, address some of these stigmas, some of the people being so embarrassed about it, and not maybe not even not even being willing to recognize it. How can we, is it something we need to deal with, families, or can we do it, at a round table, or how can we address it?
Well, I say, just walking and dealing with people, sometimes, it's, especially I feel like even with the younger generation, for them, they deal with problems with an audience. It's just like, hold on, I got to have an audience. And having an audience, I think, really tears down a person, when they're, going through already stressful time, so I think going back to, it's okay to, have those one-on-one conversations. And if you are going to, if you're stressed out, find a healthy snack. I mean, the brain wants what the brain wants. So if you want to eat something, maybe find it a healthy alternative, so you won't feel so bad afterwards. I don't know. What do you think, Wilbur?
Yeah, I think that's good, and that's one of the first major signs that happen, particularly for a lot of people who are depressed. And dealing with depression, they stop taking care of themselves and stop eating properly. Sometimes even stop taking baths, and their basic general health, stop doing those things. I think another key thing is just having someone who you can depend on, a support system, a friend, a family member, somebody who you can be honest with and they can be honest with you. And that person can help give you advice and give you some direction and help try to guide you in the right direction. And if they give you that good advice and they're willing to help you with the process, take that advice and allow them to help you. Because sometimes we can't see ourselves what we're really going through. But I've had many times with individual, man, to, trying to get to the point to let them know that, it doesn't seem like you can see it, but you've really changed over the last few weeks.
Right.
You're acting different, you're talking different. It's like you're taking care of yourself. What has happened, if they're willing to admit it, which is first step, problem recognition, admitting that you have a problem, admitting to yourself, admitting to somebody else, and then taking the steps to seek help to fix those problems and to try to get some help in whatever form that may be.
Exactly.
And for me, like I said, not necessarily being diagnosed with a mental health illness, but just poor mental health, not being able to communicate with someone without becoming angry, without needing an audience, like Charlamagne just said, without jumping up and down and having to try to influence people's position of you or of the other person more than just communicating. You know what I'm saying? I'm not putting so much stock what people think of us, and maybe us putting more stock in what we think, of ourselves, and what people that really have our best interest at heart. What do they think? In order to be, I think in order to be a healthy person, you have to have something in life that you submit to in some way. There's got to be some authority that you will submit to, so that it can help you get back on the right track. So, but yeah, being embarrassed, and even kids, we see them in school, they get in the habit of yelling, or they get immediately frustrated when they think a conversation is not going their way. You know what I'm saying? They immediately get frustrated to the point where they really can't communicate anymore. That's what happened in that video. Wilbur and I saw a video. It was unfortunate. A teacher ended up hitting a student, but the teacher tried to walk away from this student, and the student just he was not able to communicate in any, and I think that is a poor mental health. Whether he had a mental illness, that was definitely poor mental health.
Mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Which causes a lot of problems. And a lot of people get seriously hurt and killed behind just a basic mental health breakdown, because they did not deal with something that's been going on a long time. And then that soda pop bottle gets shaken up, and then it explodes on somebody. Or what are the repercussions and the consequences after that happens?
Well, and I think, that's very true. And that there's so many instances that are explosive, but at the same time, we're currently in a time where everything has to be magnified to the 10th power. It didn't happen if it's not on video. It didn't happen if there wasn't a crowd around. And that really, that public shame has really affected a lot of people. You have so many young people shutting down, because they feel like they were publicly shamed. I don't know what the answer is, because we're definitely in the day of, like I said, everything being on TV, everything being on social media, and so much so that even they have the computers now that have looked at how we react and can create conversations for us, sometimes better than we can, and for an individual that thinks, wow, I thought I was pretty good, but this computer is even better. I mean, there's just a lot of different stressors out there. But the main thing, going back to what you said, Wilbur, is, definitely having that support system that you can go to, that's probably the biggest thing, realizing that you don't have to take on the world, you don't have to take on the problem by yourself, and just having someone who will just listen to you. Sometimes you don't need a response, you just need someone to listen.
Yeah, just need to sit down and talk with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And another factor I can say quickly that I think contributes to it, I'm a big part of the faith-based community, and sometimes I can be hard on them. But I think we can help a lot of times because everything is not necessarily a demon or from the devil. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people have serious mental health problems that they need to go to a clinic, need to see a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a doctor about. But the faith-based community sees everything as the devil, evil, or they want to try to pray the mental illness away. Instead of directing that person, I'm gonna pray for you, and I'm gonna keep praying for you. But you need to go down there to that clinic, and you need to go see your doctor and see what's going on, because that's not normal, and you need to get some help. Come on.
No, I just said I'm glad you mentioned that, because I hadn't thought of that, but you're absolutely right. The African American churches are quick to just say, to just try to pray it away, and if the person is not susceptible to the prayers that you're praying, they're definitely not going to be susceptible to any divine, intervention that could come from it. So some people need to get that help so that they can be at peace and then hear God's voice, but if you can't find any peace, it's hard to even move into the realm. Okay, I'm gonna listen for God's voice, and I'm gonna try to take some kind of spiritual tutoring or advice from somebody or from somewhere,
And look, I just Googled mental health clinic, and there was lots of them that popped up, and some of them allow you to get in the same day. So sometimes it's definitely it's at your fingertips. I was wondering where would one find one at, but I just Googled it, and a whole bunch of them popped up.
They're everywhere. You can call your local MHMR. You can call 211. You can just Google mental health clinics. You can go to every hospital has one, particularly like JPS at Fort Worth and Parkland in Dallas. So everyone, there's so many of them that you can go to, but you just have to be willing and want it. And just don't be scared. You're gonna see some things. You're gonna see people from different walks of life, people from different classes, people from different areas and cultures. But you're there for you to get some help. And from someone who has taken medication for different things, that medication can work, and it can help you out, whether it's temporary or whether it's long term. It can help you out and take some of the stress, some of the anxiety, some of the depression away, whatever it may be, can calm some things down. It can help you to move on to another level.
Right.
I know we're getting into the ish.
We're definitely into the ish. And
I just want to encourage people to try to see the good in things. I mean, if we are so quick to see the bad, and if the bad in something is the first thing we see all the time, that sets up a negative mental perspective that can easily slide into depression or anxiety. So just try to see the good in things, even if you can't see it right away. Try to see the good in things, because it takes it takes some peace and some discernment to see the good in things sometimes, and that can take your mind off of negative thinking. So
that's right. And God gave us these resources and things and doctors and medication for a reason, and he gave us people for a reason to help each other out. So we need to use and access that, because we are the arms and the hands of the Lord, and we need to help each other.
Amen. Amen. So true. Well, with that being said, we always appreciate your presence. Wilbur, we're honored to have you talk with us and speak with us and just provide extra insight into mental health. So
great. I appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to help a little.
Yes. A lot.
A lot. Yes. But and thank you again, Wilbur, because I know that everybody's spread out this week. So thank you for, and you had some meetings and stuff to do. So thank you for scheduling this with us. Maybe it's just something that we all can take back, into our personal lives and personal, in the communities we deal with, and maybe help somebody do something a little better.
Oh, that's what it's all about. It's practical side to it all. My car is on E now. I could sit here and pray about it, but I'm going to go to the gas station and put some gas in it. So,
So I'm gonna let Jimmy Fox take us out with 15 minutes. We definitely went over today, but y'all be blessed, and I'll be talking to y'all later. And y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to Speaking Facts in 15.
See y'all next time.
See y'all next time. Take care. Bye bye.